And I'm joined now by White House Homeland Security and Counterterrorism Advisor Thomas Bossert. Welcome to This Week, Mr. Bossert.
Thank you.
I want to get to security questions and security concerns, but we've just had the president tweet a GIF that I want you to take a look at. You can see it right there. Obviously, President Trump has taken some video and put a CNN Mike logo on who he's beating up on. Can I just get your reaction to that?
Well, my first time seeing it, Martha, but first, thank you for having me on the show. I very much appreciate it. I guess my first reaction to that tweet would be the same as any of the president's tweets. There's a lot of cable news shows that reach directly into hundreds of thousands of viewers, and they're really not always very fair to the president. So I'm pretty proud of the president for developing a Twitter and a social media platform where he can talk directly to the American people. In fact, he's the most genuine president and the most non-politician president that we've seen in my lifetime. And he's demonstrated, whatever the content of that particular tweet is or any tweet, he's demonstrated a genuine ability to communicate to the people.
He certainly can communicate to the people, but I want to ask you, is that the kind of communication you want, that he's beating up on somebody?
Well,
that he's beating up on the media?
Right.
You're in charge of Homeland Security there.
Yep.
That seems like a threat.
Yeah, certainly not, though. I think that no one would perceive that as a threat. I hope they don't. But I do think that he's beaten up in a way on cable platforms that he has a right to respond to. And he does that regularly.
And you don't think that's a threat to anyone? You don't think that's sending a message, do that to the media, do that to CNN?
No, I certainly don't. I don't think so. And I think that importantly here, he's a genuine president expressing himself genuinely. And to be honest, I think that's why he was elected. He's the most genuine person, and the people that see politicians and then see him find him to be someone that they can understand and relate to. And so,
okay, I got to stay on this for a minute.
Yeah.
Sarah Sanders said recently, the president in no way, form, or fashion has ever promoted or encouraged violence. If anything, quite the contrary.
Yeah.
He's simply pushing back, defending himself. But you know what happened to Congressman Scalise, and you have these messages out there against the media. The media has had, and I hate this to be all about us, but he's making it about us, or particularly CNN, I suppose. Some people had to get private security guards.
Yeah.
Is that really fair?
Yeah, so I think that the most important part of my message isn't just that he's genuine. It's that he's found a way of communicating directly to the people without going through whatever the media outlet is.
But I understand that. I'm talking about the message, not how he communicates.
But it's a good example of you or the media producers here deciding what it is that we talk about and what it is we don't talk about. And so, with respect, I think that that's why he needs to go around you and the producers that control the message and directly to the people and whatever he cares about speaking about that day. And occasionally he cares to speak about those cable programs that are beating up on him unfairly.
And with respect, we do talk about other issues, and then when something like this comes up, it distracts from what we really wanted to talk about.
And you're a very substantive person. I know we're going to talk about substantive issues.
Yes, we are.
So I appreciate you asking me, but I do think
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you answering that. So let's talk about something that's on the minds of Americans. And we've watched overseas. We've watched in Syria. We've watched in Iraq. We're really pushing back ISIS. But we've also seen a great number of terrorist attacks around the globe, from Australia to the UK. We've got the July 4th holiday. I know there's always sort of a heightened security because of that, these large gatherings. Should Americans be concerned?
Well, Americans should be concerned that we're seeing a growing threat environment across the globe. We've got a jihadi globalist movement that we can't predict. And we're seeing it manifest itself in ways that are extremely daunting to law enforcement authorities. 3 actors with knives are very difficult to thwart and interdict. We don't have, as you heard the mayor say earlier today, at a federal or state level, any credible, actionable intelligence. So as people set out this weekend to enjoy their Independence Day with holiday with family members and with friends, I think that they should focus on that and feel safe and secure at rest that we're doing everything we can to protect them. But I think they would be remiss in not understanding that the world we live in is increasing in its threat environment, and that we spend an inordinate amount of time and resources as the United States, but also as our partners, trying to not only defeat ISIS in their control of the physical caliphate, but their virtual space that they own, their internet space, their proselytizing. It's troubling, and we need to take, and we have taken, President Trump's taken a number of steps, controversial and otherwise, to protect Americans.
And we talked this week about the enhanced security measures for all flights to the U.S.
Yep.
Laptops are banned on some of those flights, but the laptop ban was not expanded. Tell me the calculus for that. Why you decide some flights, why not others?
Yeah, so first let me say that the threat that we've talked about is real. It is extremely troubling. It's on one hand a trend that no one should be surprised with. We've seen terrorists for some reason or another seek to go after our aviation sector since 9/11 with some zealotry. But this particular threat that we've observed upon taking office has really alarmed us and Secretary Kelly. And so the calculus here, I want to applaud Secretary Kelly quite a bit. The calculus here is that we'll never reduce risk to zero. We'll never be completely safe. And what we need to do is balance certain airports from places closer to the risk, and we need to ban those devices that we think represent a problem to safe flight from those points of departure. But instead of, as Secretary Kelly said, playing whack-a-mole with an underwear bomber here and a shoe bomber there and another kind of bomber on the other hand, what he'd like to do is to implement a comprehensive increase in our security posture around the world. To be honest, this is the most comprehensive opportunity for aviation security improvement since 9/11.
But when we hear about this threat, and it does sound very frightening, if they're able to get laptops through, why not ban them all and not take the chance? We did that with liquids. So it seems like there's a real danger here that you could solve by doing that.
Absolutely something that we've considered, and that's not off the table. But any electronic device represents an issue for security officials, and we look at that in a very serious way. But there's also competing interests here of trying to allow people to travel safely and conveniently. And so what we've done is, instead of going after certain airports and certain electronic devices, Secretary Kelly has given the entire world an opportunity to increase their security posture, the entire world of all points of departure. And if they do that, we'll probably buy down a significantly larger amount of risk than if we just focus on one laptop threat at a time.
Oh, and I want to turn to cybersecurity. This week's another major cyber attack, the second global attack we've had in recent week. What's the latest on how this attack has affected the U.S., and do you have any idea who's behind it? I believe it started in Ukraine, so does that point the finger at Russia?
Yeah, so certainly many people have. This is the same fundamental exploit that we saw used in the recent WannaCry attack. And that WannaCry cyber attack was particularly troubling to me and to other security officials because it was indiscriminate. Whatever hacker launched it without control of it, and that was launched in a way that could hit any target. So those are things that we look for as being particularly bad. We're lucky there were no deaths associated with that. If the Russian government was behind this latest attack, it was a really silly and stupid move on their part because, by and large, Russia was hit pretty hardly by it. So if they were Russian supportive hackers, the Russian government should step up and take them to task if they want to be treated seriously as people and as governments that want to act like like-minded professionals on the internet, or be excluded from it if not. And if the Russian government did it themselves, then shame on them. That's unacceptable behavior.
And the president travels to Germany this week to the G20. He'll meet with Vladimir Putin. Would you encourage the president to bring up this hacking with Vladimir Putin?
Well, I don't want to encourage the president to do anything right now. I think there's two things I would advise the president, and I'll tell you what they are. We've got two of the world's largest superpowers being in the same place at the same time. It's not unusual for them to meet. I think President Obama met in the last 5 G20 summits with President Putin. We don't know if this will be a long bilateral meeting or a shorter pull-aside at this stage. Those details haven't been set. So in part, that format of that meeting will dictate what they discuss and how they discuss it. But I would say that if there's an opportunity, the president would recognize that we have an extremely low-point relationship based on distrust right now. And while we should condemn their cybersecurity behavior, and we should condemn their behavior in the Ukraine and sanction them for it, and President Trump has said as much, he should also take opportunities to partner with them in ways that help us defeat ISIS and prevent the Syrians from using chemical weapons.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us this morning, Mr.
Thank you, Martha. I appreciate it.